Good morning. I am Robert Sinclair Jr., Manager of Media Relations for AAA Northeast, and we welcome you to another AAA Northeast webinar, where to go and what to do on Long Island. Many of us have been cooped up for a while now, and we're looking for places to go and things that we can do safely. And so that leads us to be able to share with you some information about where you can go and what you can do in a place that's close for many of us on Long Island. We are joined by a couple of experts today. Number one is Kristen Jonigan. She is the president and CEO of Discover Long Island. Kristen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we also have Mike Rotondo, who works for AAA Northeast. He's the managing director of travel operations. Mike, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
No, you're welcome. We'll start with Mike. You live on Long Island, a native person. And so why don't you tell us about what life is like on Long Island these days?
Sure. Thanks, Robert. Well, I actually was born in Queens, but grew up on Long Island. My dad was from Brooklyn. Mom was from Queens. And after I was born, shortly after I was born, they moved out to Long Island in a town called Massapequa. Seinfeld is from. Everybody knows that, right?
Massapequa.
So I grew up in Massapequa. I thought that was pretty the epicenter of Long Island. It was a great place to live. It was about 40-minute train ride to New York City. The train was, less than a mile away from my house, and drive to Montauk in 2 hours. So it was a great place to be and a great place to grow up. Living on Long Island was fantastic. I mean, I had so many great memories there. There's so many things to do, and Kristen's going to go over a lot of those. But my own personal life, I enjoyed biking, the trails that we had, the beaches, the aquariums, and when I got older, the wineries, of course, and also the restaurants. Now that I'm older, I get to appreciate that a little bit more as well. So I love Long Island so much. I grew up there. I actually am raising my family out in Seaford, which is only a couple towns away from Massapequa. So I'm a true Long Islander through and through.
Understood. Glad to hear it. I like the wineries too. I guess we'll talk about them a little later. We have to discuss the elephant in the room because travel has been changed so much by the COVID-19 pandemic. Can you tell us what the state of the travel industry is and how COVID-19 has affected travel, particularly for those who might be taking a road trip?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Growing up myself, my parents typically took one big trip a year, and that was the major trip that we took. But in addition to that major trip, we also took 2 to 3 smaller trips, road trips, if you will, and that's what they were. And today isn't any different. Today's day and age isn't any different than what that is. Nowadays, we're seeing more people taking those road trips, and it's no surprise. We're seeing more people right now. What's happening is people are booking their dream trips, to maybe Aruba, Bermuda, Turks and Caicos. Those are the top destinations right now. We also see a lot of river cruising in Europe that are being booked right now, but people need to get away. And where are they going? They're staying local. They're staying on Long Island. They're staying within their comfort zone where they feel most comfortable. And that's what we're seeing a lot of right now is people staying and doing their road trips around here. And I'm no exception to that. Just last week, my family and we drove out to the Hamptons and we stayed in a hotel there and we enjoyed the town life around us and such great restaurants out there that I never would have known about from where I am here. So it was really a great vacation. And then that was just one day. And then we went to the North Shore up in Roslyn and stayed at another great hotel and enjoyed the life up there. So I'm living proof of that.
It is, in fact, that's according to a survey that we released earlier this year, that staying domestic is an election year phenomenon that's been going on for some time, that people are a little more reluctant to travel overseas in an election year because they're worried about how international relations will be affected and how the economy will be affected. And certainly the disease has led to that being even more so for this year. Mike, you had something about the COVID map, some restrictions that are existing that we can find out about by going to certain websites?
Yeah, sure. Actually, what AAA what we did is AAA Northeast, we identified early on that there would be a demand for road trips, which is part of AAA's legacy. It's what we've been doing since the beginning of time. So we developed what we called the AAA Travel Center. And this is really an online portal with up-to-date information that'll help the travelers make the right travel decisions. This keeps all the important information in one place, and it has only trusted sources like the CDC and AAA in there. So as we all know, the information is changing rapidly, sometimes hourly. So this is a great place to go that has a lot of all that information right there. Within that portal, I see up on the screen there's the AAA Trial Center, and within that portal is the AAA Smart Depart. Go to the next screen, please. If you click on that button, you'll get this right here. And the AAA Travel Smart Depart is the best way for members to stay up to date on the changing safety protocols and the latest travel information that's available. Here, straight from the industry leaders, such as Kristen, that you're going to hear about shortly after I stop talking. And they have recorded sessions on things like airline safety, wellness, personal safety. This will be recorded and put on there as well. We have some great experts on river cruising as well, so that you can have an idea on what that's going to be all about. Then right below that, you see the COVID-19 travel map. Yep, you can go to the next screen. And just to give an idea on what that is, this is all the information at one, having all of this information at once in one place is really beneficial to everybody. This is an interactive map that shows the state and local restrictions in the area. This is a perfect tool to help you plan and navigate your summer and fall road trips, including on Long Island. So if you click on it, if you click on any one of these locations, it'll tell you the restrictions within the states.
And Smart Depart is a very interesting initiative that AAA Northeast has begun with some partners, Hertz Rental Car and Marriott Hotels. One of the cruise lines, which one is it? I forget, Mike.
Royal Caribbean.
Royal Caribbean, I'm sorry.
Royal Caribbean.
Mention that other one. But they're going through extra efforts to sanitize the facilities and make sure that they're safe for people when they are traveling. Kristen. I'm sorry, Mike, you had something else?
No, I was agreeing with you. That's really, we took the information that the members were asking about most and when they were calling up and speaking to our agents, and we felt that there was a need for more information there. So we reached out to those lines that you just mentioned and said, hey, can you give us an update and a detailed information on what you're doing to sanitize and what's your procedures to kind of put people mind at ease. And it was very interesting stuff that they had to tell. So it's a great resource for you to take a look at.
Yeah, I was very interested in reading the Marriott Hotel and all the efforts that they're going through. They're sanitizing the elevator buttons. They are cleaning the common areas, escalator handrails, social distancing. Everybody's wearing a mask. The buffets now are coming in lunch packages, if you will. They're not serving things anymore. There's not that free and open access. They've eliminated a lot of the items in the rooms, the high touch areas. They're wrapping up the remote controls for the TV. It's very, very interesting. Kristen, Discover Long Island. You've got a great website, and I understand you also have a video that you want to share with us that kind of talks about and looks at what's going on in Long Island. Can you share that with us, please?
Sure, I'd love to.
Beautiful. I'm in trouble now. I haven't had breakfast yet. There's a lot of good food and drink there, so that's very
Well,
good. And I
course
learned
we-
something. I saw something about Montauk Downs. Is that a racetrack or something?
So it's a golf course.
It's a
You
golf
know, Long
course.
Island has terrific golf,
Oh,
some of the best golf. And in fact, we are the host of the Ryder Cup coming up in 2024, which is pretty much the Olympics of golf. So,
yes.
yeah, so we have so much to talk about on Long Island, and I'm so happy to be here. And you know, I appreciate starting with that video. We, at the onset of the coronavirus, we had a video called Hold Fast. And all of these videos are on our YouTube page and on our website. So if you want to see it, please take a look, because it's also, I think, a really emotional video that tugs at the heartstrings and talks about us as Long Islanders and New Yorkers. And it was kind of our stay home video, but we didn't want to say stay home. We wanted to speak to Long Islanders, and we've got, you know, maritime heritage, and we're mariners. So we want to say hold fast, and we're going to see through this storm. And then this is kind of our new iteration of coming out of this with renewed gratitude for the things that we all took for granted, just leaving our house, right? Going
Yeah.
out to our favorite restaurant and hugging our friends and our family. And I think that's what everybody is really excited to do again. So.
Yeah, Long Island has been regrettably hotspot. It was, at least for the pandemic. And back in, I guess it was May, we had an event. We went around to 9 hospitals on Long Island and presented nurses with snacks to get them through the long hours they were working, but also free AAA memberships. We realized that most people are probably driving on Long Island if they're nurses going to and from work, and we didn't want them to be brought to a halt by an old vehicle. A lot of us are driving older vehicles, and so we were happy to do that to help out with the health situation on Long Island, and showing our thanks to the nurses and the hard work that they're doing, the doctors and the health professionals. Now, you've got a very extensive website. I spent a lot of time looking at it and just learned so much. I had no idea that there are all these things happening on Long Island. Can you share with us your website and some of the things that are on it?
I will. Thank you. I'm going to share the screen. I want to commend you again, though, about what you just said about our healthcare workers, because, you know, everything we do to show our gratitude to them is so important. And then we, you know, we did have a very challenging time here on Long Island and in New York City, but we did the hard work. I mean, we really locked down. And so now we can come back out and feel some safety and some confidence in how we're traveling. So I'm going to show you how we're communicating that to our visitors, so that your members can get the resources that we have here for us. So this is what it looks like on the homepage, and there are several places here where you can see the video that I just showed you, but also find out how you can travel and feel confident about traveling, because, you know, it's the number one thing we're talking about right now. Believe it or not, we're not talking about just all the wonderful things to see and do on Long Island, because it doesn't matter if you don't feel safe doing it. So the number one thing is, we have this new section of our website called Travel Confidently, and it does, you know, it posts every single day. We change it, and I appreciate the kind words about our website. We have completely changed our website at least a dozen times since March, like completely overhauled all of the content to make sure it's every day constantly relevant and timely. So you'll see things on here. There's a lot of questions about travel bans, who can come, who can't, what are the requirements, and we update it every single day, immediately following the governor's notice, so your members can feel confident coming here and getting the latest information. We also have some information about what people can do for takeout, any new executive orders on here that are announced every day. And then one of the most recent things we did, and I know that you have a great relationship with Dr. Michelle Reed from all of your wonderful Newsday seminars, but she has served really as an incredible resource to us. We partnered with her as our official health and wellness ambassador. Dr. Reed is a COVID survivor who was well documented on our local media through her experience, and is well known on Long Island as a very credible expert on medical. She's a board certified practitioner. She's also a mom, and a working mom, and she's also a best-selling author for her book, The Fit Doc, and she talks a lot about nutrition. So she's helping us with our guidelines on what we need to do, and then she's also providing wellness tips to our visitors and our residents on how to get out, how to do it safely, because that is really important, that we show people how to do it. One of the other things we did recently, which I never thought we'd be doing as a destination marketing organization, but it's what we do to what our visitors and residents need. And
Sure.
we launched a Be Safe program. And what we did is we asked businesses to take a pledge, what you're going to do to prioritize safety and ensure that you're following CDC guidelines to prioritize safety for all guests. And once they take the pledge, they get access to all of this free signage that they can then post in their business to let people know that they are prioritizing safety. And then we also, one step further, we put this map here on the Be Safe site, and you can see which places on Long Island, if you're looking to go to the places that you know as a visitor or resident are prioritizing safety, you can follow us here. So that's one of the things we're doing, is really talking about safety, confidence, health, and wellness. There's just a lot of questions. Another one we talk about here is how to beach responsibly. I think there's still a lot of questions. Long Island, we're known for our world-class beaches, but they're not all open to non-residents right now. So here's how to communicate that. If you have a question, these are the beaches that are open. You can go onto these websites. It'll tell you if they're at capacity or not, so you don't waste your time getting up early and going out on a holiday weekend. For example, Labor Day weekend is coming up, so we encourage people to look at this site before you go. We want everyone to have a wonderful experience. Or there's some places here where you can go to a hotel, and the hotels have private beach access. Whether you're a resident or not, they have negotiated beach time. So Fire Island is a great example, the Palms. And we try to just make sure, and this is how you can, go and stay home and have a good time. So I think it's, we're trying to make sure that we're communicating, because the worst thing is when people are confused or don't understand. A couple of other new things we have to address some of the questions that we get from our visitors are, I'll go to trip ideas first. You were talking about, what I like to do, things to do on Long Island. And the reality is Long Island is a long island. There is a lot to do, and it's very different and diverse from end to end. We've got Manhattan on one side, and we've got the Hamptons and the Vineyards on the other, and everything in between. So it can sometimes be difficult to know, if you're not familiar with the landscape, if you've never been here before, how to have a trip. And I can't tell you, we have a visitor center on, we call it Exit 52, which is about the midpoint. And the number one question we get, people that would come to New York City and they want to go to the Montauk Lighthouse for lunch. And you're like, that is not going to happen. It's really far. So we want to make sure we're educating, and so people can get the experience that they think that they're going to get when they come. And
that visitor center is on the Long Island Expressway?
Yes.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's stunningly beautiful. I like the mosaic of the map of Long Island, and you have the names of prominent Long Islanders throughout and extending outside as well, I believe.
Yes, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
We're very proud of that, and it's a great reflection, I think, of the Long Island community, and it's beautiful, and it's a great place. The snack bar in there is all local food and vendors, ingredients. So I definitely recommend it, even for souvenirs, to stop and get some fun stuff there. So here's some examples. I know you all talked about wine country. So you talked about the vineyards. So I'll just give you an example. We can go to wine country. It'll tell you some insider tips of where to go. You can use a map to find farms along the way. Some of the vineyards, here's where you'd go for lunch. Here's a great activity, and then dinner and some accommodations. And we do that in every single category. So some are 1 day, some are 3 days, depending how long you're looking to come and what you want to experience. And then you can heart things on your trip and then save it and it builds you your own customized itinerary that you can email to yourself or share on your social media with your friends and relatives. So there is a bit of a high-tech platform here, but it's really easy and user-friendly, and hopefully lets people know how they can come do some of the great experiences they want. So here's an interesting thing. Are you aware of the Culper Spy Ring?
I couldn't even spell it. What is that?
So this is one of our most prominent historical acknowledgments here on Long Island, is that we are the home, and this is the neighborhood I live in. I like to pronounce it with my Long Island accent, Setauket.
That's the talk it, yeah.
to talk it. But we're known. We're the home of the George Washington's spies, and we like to
Oh,
say that
yes,
that's
the first spy house or something.
so. Long Island is the
Yeah.
reason you don't have a British accent.
Mm.
But these are the spies that George Washington used during the Revolutionary War. And there was a whole series on it. If you ever saw the Turn series on AMC, it was called Turn. There was a whole television series for years on the spies and how instrumental they were to influencing the Revolutionary War. And today you can go and there's wonderful, charming villages that you can go, you can experience it. Many of the homes of the spies are still there for you to go in and explore. You can even do a kayak tour that'll tell you about the different spies, and you can see the grist mills that fed them. But they would communicate in code via clothespins with the laundry. So yeah,
depending on what was hanging out on the clothesline with communicating a message.
it's true. And it was really, truly significant in the turning of the war, because we were able to warn George Washington about a critical battle that was coming up. So it's been highly documented, and it's one of our best kept secrets really on Long Island if you're a history buff. So just a couple of more things I wanted to make sure people understand that are useful to them. And one of them is discounts. And also some hidden gems like I just told you about. So everybody knows that Long Island has the Hamptons. We all love the vineyards, the Gold Coast mansions. We are, of course, famous for those. And if you have not gone to Oheka Castle or Sands Point or Old Westbury Gardens, they are just these stunning former homes of Long Island's elite families, including the Vanderbilts and the Guggenheims. But also, for those of you that don't know, the Oheka Castle is where Taylor Swift filmed her blank space video. So if you have like kids, right, and you want to get them a history experience but make it relevant, and the New Jersey Housewives just filmed their final episode there, and it's been the backdrop of many famous movies.
A lot of movies have been shot out at those mansions.
Yes, they're so beautiful, and they're still standing. And one of the new things we have to offer people, though, are some of the hidden gems. And this is for Long Islanders or people in the region or people from outside of the region, because I like to tell Long Islanders, we love our own neighborhoods. We love the things that we know, and we are great at supporting our local, hyper-local community. But so many of us, think about, oh, the Nautical Mile is on Long Island and Freeport, or this, Patchogue has great restaurants, or Farmingdale is incredible revitalized community. Someday I'll go there. And then we never do. So this is the time when we're looking for things that we can go and do in our own backyard. So we created this downtown deals pass. It's brand new. And right now we have 6 downtowns on there, but we are looking to expand it. We have a waiting list of 15 downtowns that want to join. So we're working on it. But it's really terrific. And what it shows you is, you can go into all these little downtowns that you may not have heard about. So this is a great one, Farmingdale. I was there I went to this great yogurt place, Charlotte Star, this one. I was there having yogurt with my daughters, and we kept seeing crowds of people, like ladies in fancy outfits walking by. This is weird. And they would talk to a guy, and then he would open the door. And I was like, this is a speakeasy. They're having frozen yogurt. And it was a speakeasy. And there are so many really wonderful places like that in our downtowns. So it shows you where you can go. And then on some places, like you see here, it offers you a really terrific discount of 15% off your total bill. Lithology Brewing is a great example too, cheesesteaks. And so it offers you great discounts, as well as really awareness of what to do in all of these downtowns.
How does a downtown qualify? How do they get? You said 15 are waiting. What do they need to do to get in?
So it's one of those things, and I'll just be really honest with you. This was a new platform that we launched, and we did it in conjunction with the IDAs of Nassau and Suffolk. They sponsored it for us. Thank you so much to them, because we wouldn't do it without them. And so we in conjunction with the IDAs, we picked the 3 downtowns in each county to be fair. We looked at geography, we looked at kind of the assets they have. But it was like pulling teeth, trying to get these restaurants, when they're trying to open and pivot and have outdoor dining, respond to us and put their stuff on. It was a real labor of love for us to go in and talk to them and get them to load their deals. But once we did, and we launched it and everybody saw it. Now there's 15 downtowns like, we want to do it. So we've got criteria going, and you have to have so many restaurants that are willing to do it themselves and sign up. And but we're excited. We're excited to expand the program because it's been so popular.
Yeah,
So just a couple of other things is we do put up blogs all the time. Today we just put up a blog about women's suffrage and Long Island's role of women's suffrage.
Yeah.
So just to show you, how timely it is. But I know in our last conversation, we talked about things like summer drive-in movies, where to get a drive-in, where to have a drive-in concert, where to go to a garden. Some people want to be outside and go to a garden, or how to have an outdoor hotel experience. Which hotels have really good outdoor space? And then we have events as well that we post on here and that are timely, and a lot of them are outdoors. Take a hike, virtual dog walk, you can go to the aquarium. There's that Ohika Castle we were talking about. And then we always encourage people, when you are out and about, to please hashtag Discover Long Island. And we have a platform here that follows you. It'll grab your picture off Instagram, and then you can be featured on our website or in our social media if you're using our hashtag. So I just wanted to put that out there, and I know that there are probably a lot of questions. I'm happy to answer them.
Well, I was wondering, because Long Island, you mentioned history. Greenport has an interesting history, isn't one of the restaurants there has a bit of an infamous history, if I remember correctly. What can you tell us about that?
Oh gosh, are you talking about Claudio's?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I just always want to make sure that I'm going into. So Claudio's.
Yeah, besides the good food that they have, yeah.
And it was just recently sold to a new family about a little over a year ago. But prior to that, it was the longest family-owned restaurant in America. So it has a great legacy, and that's another thing. Long Island has deep roots of generations of families that have owned these businesses, and we're very proud of that. But Claudio's actually was very prominent during Prohibition. And they just renovated when the new family bought it, and their upstairs room is gorgeous. It's delicious, great lobster rolls, tons of outside dining. And just for your viewers, I believe the inside, I think they're just doing outside dining right now. But the inside room, which is open for private events, it was famous because it has a bar up there that of course you can utilize for your private event, but they would pull the boats right underneath the restaurant and pop the liquor up through secret tunnels to Claudio's, so that our Long Island fishermen could still get their liquor during this time. And we all know how important liquor has been during these kinds of stressful times.
Without a doubt. And the fishermen, it's a tough life. They need these things to carry on. So, but
yeah, and the other thing, Robert, I just mentioned, because you even talk about history, it was, I think yesterday was like National Park Day. One of the famous national parks is also right here on Long Island. It's called Sagamore Hill. It's in Oyster Bay, and it was the permanent home of Teddy Roosevelt. And it was the first summer White House, because I love to tell the story that when he was president, the telephone was invented. So prior to the telephone, Washington, D.C. would close during the summer because it was so hot and humid and basically miserable. And of course, Teddy Roosevelt wanted to come back to his beautiful Long Island home in Oyster Bay on the water. It's gorgeous water views. Who wouldn't? And but the telephone was invented, so he was able to go down to the local drugstore and keep the government running for the first time in history during the summer. I think maybe now we wish it would close during the summer, at least for a while. But it's so much real significant history here on Long Island as a result of Long Island.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, because running on WLIW right now is a repeat of the Ken Burns film, The Roosevelts. And the episode just a couple days ago, they were talking about Oyster Bay, and Franklin was writing about the dunes out there and how they would run down the dunes and run up the dunes. And he said for every 2 steps you took, you'd fall back 1 step. But Uncle Teddy insisted that everyone do that. He was very robust and energetic and an outdoorsman. And it was very interesting to hear the history of that place there mentioned on that documentary.
Well, and did you know, Did you know, and this is going to surprise a lot of people, I think, but
Mhm.
and it surprised me coming here because, I'm originally from Texas. And so I feel like we are the kind of horse community, right? But the oldest cattle ranch in America
Yes.
is actually here on Long Island. And again, that's because the boats would come from the soldiers and then they would have their cattle ranch in Montauk. And you can still ride it today. Again, family owned. It's one of the only places you can ride a horse on the beach in the state of New York.
It's really, it's,
Right.
and
I love it when people write things down. I'm like, oh, good, this is
yeah,
resonating.
yeah, I'm making a note of
It's called Deep Hollow Ranch.
Deep
And
Hollow Ranch,
yeah, and it was
oldest cattle
also
ranch in America.
featured in the, for those, again, TV buffs, it was featured prominently in the series The Affair, which was filmed all in Montauk, which was a very exciting show, if you haven't seen it.
I will now. I have to check it out. Now, let's digress a little bit because we know Long Island has a lot of malls and folks like to shop. What's going on with the malls on Long Island? Or some are open, partially open. What's the status on them? And then the configuration of them makes a big difference as to whether or not they are open for business or partially open, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. We have a lot of shopping centers on Long Island, and shopping is very important to a lot of us Long Islanders, especially like me. If you have two teenage daughters who that's their favorite hobby and pastime, I wonder where they get it. But
Or a fashionista wife.
yes, yes. So your wife will be happy to know that all of the malls on Long Island are open, and we have, as far as indoor malls, some of the most prominent malls in New York State, including Roosevelt Field, which has it's enormous. It has every major store you can think of, from the luxury stores, Neiman Marcus to Louis Vuitton, all of those, but as well as the stores that the kids love, the regular American Eagle kind of thing. It is open, and they are limiting capacity, and they have arrows on one side that you walk on one side or come back on the other, being very careful, being very conscientious of social distancing. You will see lines. Want people to know you need to be patient if you're going to the mall or anywhere really these days. We're like, please be kind. These people are doing their best to accommodate all of the guests as well as prioritize safety, and we certainly encourage that always. But there are some also great outdoor malls if you don't want to do the indoor experience. And we have two Tanger outlets, one in Deer Park and one in Riverhead. And Riverhead, for those that don't know, is called the entrance to the Forks. So it's a great community where you have the aquarium. You can make a full day just out of that. The aquarium, there are wonderful hotels there of all different levels, family to boutique high-end. And then you can use it as a great bouncing off point for either the vineyards.
Isn't the racetrack out there? Is that open? Is that working?
You know what? I don't know. I'd have to check. I'll have to check my website to see if the racetrack is open out there. I was like, I'm not. Everything changes sometimes day to day, and sure. The reality is that some of our main attractions on Long Island, and I'm always transparent, just are not open, and it's really devastating. I mean, the Nassau Coliseum is closed indefinitely. And that's a major sporting venue and events venue. Splish Splash, which is also right there in Riverhead, one of the top water parks in the nation, didn't open this summer. I was on the phone yesterday with Adventureland, which is in Farmingdale, and it's a wonderful family theme park. It's family owned for more than 60 years here on Long Island, and it has not been cleared to open yet, even though it's outdoors. So we're working so hard to help our businesses and make sure, and by the way, they have all the protocols in place ready to go to make sure that families there are safe. But everyone's trying to be patient and make sure that what we do is for long-term sustainability, not short-term gain. So it is difficult, and I want to be careful before I say things are open or not, and to get people out and about. But the Tanger Malls are terrific outdoors, wonderful shops. And there's also, maybe for your wife and for me, Americana Manhasset, which is closer to New York City. It's in Manhasset, and it's a smaller, again, for those looking for a really kind of a more boutique outdoor mall experience, but all of the very high-end stores, that's where you go to Tiffany and Company. I just took my daughter there for her 16th birthday, got a little necklace. Great place there for lunch, Cipollini, I believe it's called. Really, really fabulous, highly recommend. And the sneakers store is very popular. I hadn't heard of that one, but let me tell you, the line for that one was long.
Yes, very popular.
Coach, all of those are there, and it's a beautiful shopping center.
Mike, you can help us out, because as a AAA member, going to all these places could be very beneficial, because there are lots of discounts to be had as a member going to many of these stores, isn't that right?
Yeah, and then just point out on the Riverhead, which you're right on there, Kristen, and I'm not the greatest of shoppers, and my wife can attest too. So what I've made a tradition of over the last few years is for her birthday, and she actually offered this, is to just take her out to Riverhead and the Tanger outlets out there, and I just let her shop all day. And it really is great. It's only like 40 minutes, so it's a great.
Robert, you're scaring Robert.
Yeah, my wife's
No, it's
birthday is
great
coming
location.
up, and I'm like, she's listening to this. I don't go out there.
It really is. This way, she gets what she really wants instead of what I thought that she would like. But Riverhead AAA does offer a 20% off discount there, so they do have it, and they are all outdoors, but they have a great overhang. So even when it's raining, you can go store to store, and they do practice safety there. So it's all great. And what I personally like too is there's a Hyatt hotel that's right there. So sometimes, even though it's only under an hour drive, we will go out there and we'll have 2 full days of shopping.
Oh boy.
And there really is. There's so much. There's the Indigo East End Hotel is a boutique hotel, but very chic. And there's a new Preston Hotel, which is it's a converted house. In fact, it was the house of a general in the Civil War, and General Preston, and that house has been converted, and it is very Manhattan boutique-y. It's not inexpensive, but it's for the discerning traveler. So if you're there for a family or like a date night with your wife or something, more higher end, and you've got the aquarium right now, and there's also marina. I was just there with my children a few weeks ago, and you can go kayaking and paddleboarding right behind the Hyatt East End. So it's really a wonderful little hidden gem place in and of itself.
I had no idea. These are places that I've never heard of. So I'm sure many are watching, if they're in the same situation I am, they didn't know about these places. So this is great to know. We have a question about your website, Kristen. And does the website have fishing updates and tide tables? We haven't talked about, well, we talked about professional mariners, but what about sport fisher persons? We don't say fishermen anymore, do we?
So that's
for them?
Yeah, that is a great question. I'm looking here, and I'm going to show you if I can see. I think we have something about aquaculture and agriculture. We don't have the tides. I can tell you that right away. Okay. That's a good thing to maybe add. We do have, some live webcams on here. Where is my fishing things to do? I think it's beaches and ocean fun. When you go here,
don't fishing boats go out from, and Mike, you know this also, don't they go from Freeport and there are other ports on Long Island where fishing boats?
There's several places. Captree.
Yeah. Freeport. No.
Go ahead, Mike.
That's it. Free fishing boats out there. You mentioned Captree. I mean, Long Island is surrounded by water, so there's a lot of good locations out there. Those are the two that I frequent.
Yep, and so Captree, Montauk has a lot of them that you can go out deep sea fishing. My dad is an avid fisherman, so every time he comes from Arizona, he lives on the fishing boats. He's found them in Port Jefferson, anywhere that there can be a fishing boat. He's there.
I guess coming from Arizona, you'd be kind of landlocked there. You want to get into the water as much and as often as possible.
But we do. Here's a great. I'm sharing my screen. I don't know if you can share the screen real quick. Is it still sharing? Let's see if we can share it real quick, because I want to show you some of the information. So if you go to things to do, and then you go to beaches and ocean fun, it looks like this, and it'll say beaches, and it tells you where you can kayak, where you can do seal and whale watching. If you're into lighthouses and windmills, scoop, here's where you can do water sports and rentals, charters and marinas, surfing. So we try to connect you as much as possible to the experts, So if it's not on our website, as far as being timely, we have the experts that you can call and certainly ask before you come. So
You mentioned surfing. I know that it's popular, and I guess a little, well, people like to surf when the weather gets bad. Whenever there's a big storm approaching, I always see the news stories with folks going out there and trying to catch the waves when they're bigger. But there is something, the World Surf Longboard Tour is coming to Long Island.
It is. So again, I would say always when it comes to events, pay attention, make sure it's still going to happen. We just found out Fashion Week was happening, so it could, but it has been here. It's traditionally here. And I was going to say, if you like surfing, Long Beach, and Long Beach is honestly one of my favorite places on Long Island. It is so underrated. It's very close to Manhattan. It's an easy Long Island Railroad train ride, and it's on to me, it feels like Miami. When I'm on Long Beach, it feels like this very cool, young Miami vibe. There's a great hotel there called the Alegria, and it's oceanfront rooms and a great place to even have a cocktail or dinner. Like I said, very, as my kids would say, very bougie, but also walkable to some really great small restaurants, and notable, very highly rated restaurants, and then some that are casual, like barbecue. The best, my favorite barbecue restaurant on Long Island is called Swing Bellies. It's there, it's delicious. Coming from Texas, I'm a brisket connoisseur. Let me tell you, it's good. And the boardwalk is there, it's terrific, and they have really awesome surfing. The surf school is there, Corey's Wave Surf School, and they also have I Fly Trapeze. And so if you've ever had dreams of being in the circus, you can actually right there on the ocean front, they'll train you, you go up on the trapeze, and you can fly through the air.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
then there's a little food truck vendor area there where you can get pretty much any kind of food you want right after, if you still have a stomach for it.
I'm tempted to start singing "He Flies Through the Air with the Greatest of Ease." Well, since we're talking about sports, there are certain things happening now. You mentioned golf tournaments.
Yes. Are we talking about the Islanders? Sorry.
Yes. Well, yeah, I have to mention that because I drove past it a couple of times. Well, I'm going to drop a little hint on people. Tony's Tacos on Jericho Turnpike. I go there quite a bit. It's my new favorite restaurant. The food is very good, but in going there on the Cross Island Parkway, I passed Belmont Park, so we know about the Belmont Stakes. That's coming up. There might not be fans there, but you can't miss the new arena that's being built for the Islanders there, right at the corner of Hempstead Turnpike and the Cross Island Parkway. So the Islanders are going to be permanently returning to Long Island, and I guess you're looking forward to that.
Yes, and the soon-to-be Stanley Cup winning Islanders,
Oh,
right?
Boy. They're in it.
I don't want to jinx it, though. Don't let me jinx it.
No.
Now, we are very proud of our Islanders. They are the Long Island team. No matter where they're playing right now, they are coming back. And we are building a state-of-the-art, incredible facility, not only for them, but for our amazing fans of the Islanders to have the kind of experience that we all deserve. And it's right next to Belmont Raceway, which is Belmont Stakes. And I have to tell you, this is something, so again, kind of being a transplant, I would always, everyone across the country has Kentucky Derby parties because the Kentucky Derby is the first race and everybody knows mint juleps and your hats. And even in Scottsdale, everybody would have Kentucky Derby parties. But the Belmont Stakes is the Triple Crown. And that's really the culmination of all of the winners that win the Belmont Stakes. And when I came here, it was a bucket list. It's just a bucket list item. And I had now I really don't, I'm really even more grateful I had the privilege of going, not this year, but last year in 2019. And it was the most fun day. When we come back and the Belmont Stakes is back, do not delay and make sure you go to that. There's a lady who makes the Belmont Stakes hat, Christine. She's the little hat lady. I had my hat that matched my dress perfectly. And it was just being there in that stadium and watching all the races and all of the anticipation building up from the first 2 races to that final one, and then hearing the whole crowd break out and singing New York, New York as we get ready for that race. It is one of the greatest experiences you will ever have. And then of course Flow Rider was there afterwards, which was really fun. But
I've been to the Belmont Stakes, and it's number one, you need to get there real early. But I have family who live nearby, so we were able to walk there, and just the excitement, the electricity, it's just wonderful. And the track itself is beautiful, the landscaping and everything. It's really, really nice. I just want to make one mention that if someone is watching and they have a question, we have great experts here. Type your question into the chat and we'll share it with them and get an answer for you. So take advantage of that. You don't often get to speak directly with experts, but we have them here for you today. I wanted to mention, I told you I was a big fan of things related to the space program, and there's a lot of history that relates to that on Long Island and Museum Row. They're next to a sports venue, Nassau Coliseum. What can you tell us about the museums there?
Yeah, Museum Row is really awesome. I mean, the fact that we have a place on Long Island called Museum Row is pretty amazing to me. But
yeah.
And there's the Firefighter Museum and the Children's Museum, which is not yet open, just so you know, but it hopefully will be soon. And then the Cradle of Aviation is really the crown jewel of Museum Row, and it is so beautiful when you go there. And I had no idea of the history and the connection to space exploration that Long Island has. And that's because, you know, Grumman aerospace technology used to be right here, used to be on Long Island, and we still have some of the top aerospace manufacturing companies in the world based here. And where I sit right now, it's a place called Hauppauge, and it's the Innovation Park at Hauppauge Industrial Park. And it's the second largest industrial park in the country, second only to Silicon Valley. So some of the amazing companies that we have here, from everything you can imagine, you know, Canon headquarters is based on Long Island, Estee Lauder, 1-800-Flowers, Pirates Booty was invented here. I always like to say when you're back on your next plane and you hit that button to recline and you ruin the life of the person sitting behind you, that button was made on Long Island, you know. But there's so many things made right here, but aerospace is one of our top tier industries here. And all of the lunar modules that went to space were actually tested and made here on Long Island. So you know, when it was the history, I think it was last year in 2019, of the landing on the moon, that all the astronauts, all the astronauts, the living astronauts, came to the Cradle of Aviation and had a dinner there, a VIP dinner. And it's just really an incredible mark on the world that Long Island, you know, residents and scientists have had.
I had 2 uncles back in the 60s and the 70s that worked for Grumman, and one moved in 1966 to California. He worked on the E-2C Hawkeye, and that plane regularly flew over Long Island. It's very noticeable. It's got the round radome on top, and he used to tell me some funny stories. He said they were testing one of the planes, and a woman called up and called Grumman and said a flying saucer picked up one of your planes and is carrying it away. Another uncle worked on the lunar module, and my father used to razz him all the time, said all he did was tighten bolts. But so those things remain.
That's important.
Strong. Yeah, that's very, like, loose bolts on the lunar module. But there is, in fact, only one of 3 lunar modules in existence at that museum. Isn't that right?
That's true. And you can go see it and take your kids there. And it's, you know, I haven't been there since they reopened. I'm sure they're doing all the safety guidelines, but, you know, in a normal setting, it's really great. It's very interactive. It's hands-on, and it's a true point of pride for Long Island and for New York, to be honest, and for the role that we play as New Yorkers.
There's the military aviation history too at that site. That whole site with the Nassau Coliseum and Hofstra University and Museum Row and Nassau Community College, that used to be an airport, military airfield. But there's also at Farmingdale, there's a military aviation museum there. I forget the name of it. What is it? Republic.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a museum, isn't it?
It's true. And it's like, it's in this like, what's it called? A warehouse, like a hangar.
Hangar.
And it's one of those things that you walk through and you had no idea it's there. You know, another really cool, we have a whole section on our website about military and aviation history because, you know, it's really significant to remember that and remember that, you know, Long Islanders, if we love our veterans, we have the largest population of veterans that live here on Long Island, anywhere else in the country. So we really pride ourselves on celebrating anything connected to our veterans. And another amazing museum is called the Bethpage Armor Museum. Mike, are you familiar with that?
Not that one, no.
It's at Old Bethpage Village, and it's called the American Armor Museum. And it has all of these incredible tanks and machinery that were used during World War II. And the coolest thing, and I've had the opportunity to do this, and I highly recommend it, they call it living history and active history. And a couple times a year, they'll reenact. They have the guys that they're full-blown actors, and you get in the tank and you put the helmet on and they take you out to the field, and then there's an invasion and you have to react with them. It's beyond cool, and it really brings it to life.
You get into a running tank?
Correct. And the whole convoy goes through this, you go into the bushes and then you go into the open field, and it's really amazing, I think, for kids. Now, I loved it as an adult, but it really reminds kids of what their ancestors and grandfathers went through, and to see it brought to life and have them experience it is, I've never seen that anywhere else in the country. So that's a truly unique event.
Yeah, we're celebrating 75 years since the end of World War II. And a lot of that generation is dying off. And they're, in fact, on one of the local radio stations, they are doing regular interviews with veterans that were there. And I remember hearing one from Long Island who, in fact, was stationed on the Intrepid, which is now a museum on the west side of Manhattan. That was a working aircraft carrier during World War II. And in fact, we were talking about the space program. The Intrepid was the recovery ship for one of the Apollo missions. I forget which one, but that history is long, aviation history. Lindbergh took off from what is now a mall, the Source Mall. That's where he took off from. Is there anything related to Lindbergh in any of the museums and his connection to Long Island?
I'm sure there are. I'm not sure which one it is at. I mean, like you said, Roosevelt Field is, you know, the mall, but I'm sure there is. I'm not exactly sure which one it would be at, but it's here. And even this street that I'm on right here called Motor Parkway, it's called Motor Parkway.
Oh, yes.
Because it was the original racetrack that the Vanderbilt had for themselves. They just had their own racetrack here. So between aviation and racing and space, there's so much to do here. And I also just want to throw out that it's great for history and diverse history. We have the Shinnecocks here at the Shinnecock Powwow, which is an incredible event. And it's really important. All these names I'm throwing out, Setauket and Hauppauge and Ronkonkoma. I mean, that's our Native American history here. And we have also a great African American museum in Nassau, and just so many real terrific art and cultural facilities here, depending on what piques your interest.
Yeah, Motor Parkway is interesting. You read the history of all that went on as far as racing is concerned. As a motor racing buff, and reading all that history, you can't imagine how big it was on Long Island and the huge crowds that used to be attracted to these events.
Sometimes you still feel like that way when you're on the LIE, right, Mike?
Well, you can't go fast enough. Especially everybody heading out to the beaches these days. You have to get an early start. We have a question and about the website again, I guess. Are there good biking trails to be found on Long Island?
Absolutely, and we do have that on the website. We have hiking and biking and links to all of our county parks. We have a tremendous park system here with tons, really endless hidden trails for people to go. There are different rules and requirements as far as bringing your own. There's some places that rent them. There's a really great bed and breakfast actually in Stony Brook called the Bed and Bike. And they have their own biking trail there. and for the biking enthusiasts. So we try to be as robust as possible, but the good thing is if there's something you don't see on the website, we have a way you can contact us, tourism@discoverlongisland.com. Shoot us
Say
an
that
email.
again, one more
It's called
time.
tourism@discoverlongisland.com.
Okay.
And any question that if you can't find it, we can help you find it, or we can connect you to the right person. We have a visitor services team here that is here to help and make sure that you have, this wonderful Long Island experience. And as we start to wrap up on time, you mentioned food in the beginning. Incredible. I'm just gonna throw down the gauntlet here and say best New York pizza, best bagels, and the lobster rolls. Like, they're incredible, so fresh, and all these different little hidden gems. And whether you're a Long Island resident who is trying to discover something new in your own backyard, and I guarantee you, no matter how much you think you know, there's something you don't know, or whether you're a visitor coming to visit us, we want to be there for you and welcome you, and thank you for supporting our local businesses who really need us now more than ever.
Yes, indeed. It's stunning that you're able to keep all these things in mind, Kristen. Mike, you have something.
I just wanted to add to the biking comment as well, but restaurants, absolutely. And we were talking earlier about each of the towns, and each one has their own flavor, and they all have their specialties there. Farmdale, you mentioned, is the meatball place. And they have some really cool rooms that it's just unbelievable, and it's great to explore. I like to, my bucket list is to hit every Italian restaurant on Long Island by the time I retire. And on biking, here's a little tip for you. I mean, biking is huge on Long Island, and growing up in Massapequa, they have bike paths and trails. It's not just biking, they also have walking paths, and it goes all the way from Brady Park, which is in Massapequa, all the way up to Bethpage, and even further than that. When I was a kid, it was all dirt paths. Now they're all paved, which is great. And there's a whole bunch of those throughout Long Island, as Kristen pointed out. In Smithtown, I know they have special bike lanes that they develop because it's a huge biking community there too. But here's my tip too. We're talking about the beaches, right? And the beaches, Jones Beach is the primary beach that we go to, and right next to that is Toe Bay. But for Jones Beach, we have our friends coming in, and they go, and you got to get there pretty early because they do close the beaches down, which is kind of good in a way because I don't really like people sitting right next to me anyway. So they get there early, but I wasn't able to get an early start. But all I did was I put my bike in my van, and I just went to Cedar Creek, which I could bike to as well. But we biked to the beach, me, my wife, and my one of my sons. And we biked to the beach. It was a beautiful day. It was a great bike ride. And then there was open access. So even when the beach was closed, I was able to get on with my bike. So we met up with our friends, and we had a great night. So
there's a bike lane alongside the Wantagh Parkway, isn't
Ocean
there?
Parkway,
right there, yep.
Ocean
Goes
Parkway,
away from
yeah.
and they extended it too, so it goes to Jones Beach and it goes further down. We ended up at parking lot 6, but it's really made for biking now, so you can park your bike and go to the beach in many of the locations.
And Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, but I know that typically people think that summer ends Labor Day weekend. It's Memorial Day through Labor Day. That's the Long Island summer. But I have to say September is the best time of year to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have the weather breaks a little bit, and there's so much more you can do in the fall. As a kid, we used to play so many sports outside, and again the biking. But then you also in the fall you have to look forward to you got pumpkin picking and all those activities out and further out in Long Island too, and the farm stands that they have. I mean, I just love going to those farm stands where you have the individuals.
I got my pumpkin spice latte today for the first time. I'm so excited. I'm ready. Bring on the fall.
Yes, don't forget when you leave the wineries to go to Bryn Mawr, get the pies there. They're delicious. Wow, so much. I've got a page full of notes here. I had a half page going in, and now I've got a full page with all the things that we've learned about where to go and what to do in Long Island. There is plenty. Kristen, tell us what your website is, please. How can folks look that up?
Absolutely. We have discoverlongisland.com. And if you're on social media, please hashtag Discover Long Island. And we have all of our social media accounts as well as our YouTube with really great inspirational videos if you're sitting at home and you want to be inspired.
Thank you very much. Mike, what's the website that people can go to look up all that information that you shared with us earlier?
Yeah, the Travel Center is what it is. It's AAA.com/Travel Center, and that'll have all that information there as well.
And there's also from the national, I think, triptych.aaa.com that has the good information there. So we hope that folks will take advantage of all this wonderful information about where to go and what to do on Long Island. There's so much. If you've been cooped up, the restrictions have been lifted to a certain degree. You need to check before you go. That's definitely recommended. There might be capacity restrictions and what have you. So check before you go, but there's so much to do. And we want to thank Kristen and Mike for being with us today. And also, we can't do this without the help of my main man, Alex Latke, and Mark Shildrop, who handle all the technical aspects. And always want to give a shout out to Shawnee Jarvis, who prepares the graphics with the invitations. And of course, we want to thank you very much for joining us today. Tomorrow, there's going to be a webinar with Gridlock Sam Schwartz. I believe it's called No One at the Wheel. Sam Schwartz has a book about autonomous vehicles. John Corlett of our Public Affairs and Government Affairs Department will be hosting that. Hope you will be able to tune in, and we'll see you again sometime very soon. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a great day. Drive safely, buckle up, don't drink and drive, arrive alive. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kristen.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Robert.
You're welcome. Thank you, Kristen.